It's New Year 2022. Many folks out there will have an aspiration or probably made a New Year resolution to learn cloud. In this video, we will try to provide as much clarity as possible for viewers to begin their cloud journey. Hello and welcome. My name is Vinay, and together with me, we have Mr. Ranga, founder of In 28 Minutes. Together, we will try to lay down a roadmap for cloud journey. So, Ranga, welcome.
Thanks a lot, Vinay. And in this specific video, we would probably be focusing a lot on Azure. I'm really,
Yeah.
really happy to have somebody who's really good at Azure to be discussing this with me.
Thank you. So the first question which comes up when we try learning about a new thing, that why cloud? So
Right.
that will be my first question that I would like to float around.
Exactly. One of the important things that you would observe is almost all enterprises today are shifting towards the cloud, right?
Yes.
There is a lot of value for enterprises with respect to the cloud, right? Earlier, let's say, take for example, right, a shopping application. Uh, During the peak time, they have a huge amount of load. Like maybe if there's a Black Friday or a New Year's sale, right? The load on the applications is 10 times compared to when, let's say, midnight on a
Mm.
like off-peak day, right? So the load on the applications is huge, and as soon as the load on your applications is huge, you need infrastructure to support that, right? You
Mm.
need so many servers in your data center to support all that stuff. So like so what enterprises used to do earlier was to do something called peak load provisioning. The peak load is the highest load you would expect, so you would try and predict, okay, I would get this much load and I would provision the infrastructure for that, right? So, and infrastructure is not cheap. You need to buy it, you need to keep it available, and also the peak load is just a prediction, right? Nobody knows what the peak load
Mm.
is. I
Mm.
think I might get that, but
Mm.
I'm not very sure. So that was a kind of world where, yeah, our first cloud platform, or the first most important or the first one which got really popular as a cloud, AWS came into picture, right? So the value offering was simple. You don't worry about infrastructure. If you have high number of users, you can provision infrastructure, you can rent
Yeah.
infrastructure, you can ask me a server and I can give you a server in a minute, right? So that's the value proposition of the cloud. And over the last few years, there are a lot of other advantages that cloud is providing, right? One of the biggest value adds today is a lot of additional services which are possible just because of the cloud, right?
Mm.
Now cloud is enabling a lot of platform as a service offerings. If I would want to,
Mm.
for example, deploy a simple web application, uh, earlier we would need to create Linux box, probably set up Java on it
Yeah.
or Python on it, and then do. Today, if I would want to deploy a web application, let's say to Azure or AWS, with a click of few buttons, you'd be able
Yeah.
to simply deploy a simple web application. So there are a lot of value-added platform as a service offerings, like function as a service offerings, container as a service offerings. So
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot of value for. So in summary, it's like the value for enterprises is huge in the
Mm.
cloud, and wherever enterprises are going, we have to go. We have no other option. As
Yes.
somebody who work with enterprises day in day out, we have no other option but to learn the cloud these days.
Yeah, so to break it down, probably the price effectiveness is there. We are
Yeah,
charged for how much we use. Like if we don't use it, we are not getting charged. We can spin up
absolutely.
any service in within few clicks, and that
Yeah,
is actually very beneficial. Like you mentioned, the loads, we can predict the month-end loads, we can predict the year-end loads, but how much will be the actual load? We never know. So if the
absolutely.
load is more than what we have forecasted, then probably we can spin up additional services very quickly. So
Yeah,
that is an exceptional thing that cloud provides. And probably it will reduce the planning effort as well, the forecasting effort and stuff. So that will also get reduced. So
absolutely.
actually, yeah. So cloud is actual removes the headache of maintaining the infrastructure from the enterprise, and yeah, gives that headache to probably the major providers. So it's actually good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
So
think,
mm,
yeah, there are challenges with respect to the cloud as well, like
mm,
networking security become much,
yeah,
much more important.
yeah.
But as you see, there is so much value for the enterprises
Mm.
that, yeah, almost everybody is now moving towards the cloud.
Yeah, it's more advantageous than, yeah. So
Yeah.
yes. So actually I got pretty much clarity and the enterprise are moving to cloud. And second, probably the question is, there are three main cloud providers. We have like AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. And as a rookie who wants to start learning cloud, who is just new to the cloud world, which one to choose, Ranga, and why? That's
Yeah,
the first question that comes up. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a question I'm asked a lot of times. And whenever
yeah,
somebody asks that question, I'll run away. I'll actually run away because I don't have an answer to it. Right.
yeah,
So if you look at uh, like the way it is, uh,
mm,
if your enterprise or the project you're going to work on is using a specific cloud, obviously it's a no-brainer, right? Anybody
mm,
wants to start with that cloud, whether it's
yeah,
Azure, Google Cloud, or AWS. Go ahead. Even if it's
mm,
Oracle Cloud, or even if it's, let's say, Alibaba Cloud, go ahead and
mm,
learn that. That's the
yeah,
best way, because nothing replaces working in a project kind of an experience.
yeah,
So if your
true.
project is using whichever cloud which is out there, go ahead and learn that. That would be
Yeah,
the number one thing, right? But okay, let's assume a scenario where you don't know which cloud your enterprise is going to
mm,
use. In that kind of scenario, I would think you need to like just toss a coin and go with one.
yeah,
Right? For me, as far as I'm concerned, AWS,
yeah,
Azure, and Google Cloud, all of them are really well, are
yeah,
doing really well. Like AWS was the market leader. AWS is the
mm,
one which started this concept of cloud, right?
mhm,
And I think, or actually, AWS was the most popular cloud provider 5 years back. But today, I would say Azure is giving a huge amount of competition. It's even difficult to say which one of Azure and AWS is number one today.
yeah,
And Google Cloud is also growing very fast. I
yeah,
think Satya Nadella did an amazing job with Azure, and Thomas Kurian, he did the same thing with
yeah,
Google Cloud,
Google,
right? So
yeah,
today, Google Cloud is growing the fastest among all the clouds. So there is nothing to choose between them. But one of the important things I have discovered while I was starting my cloud journey was that once you learn one cloud, once you are an expert at
yeah,
Azure, you would be able to easily transfer your skills to AWS and Google Cloud. So it
yeah,
doesn't matter which cloud you would want to start with. That's not the important question. The important question is actually how much time you spend with it.
mm,
It's important not to keep switching between the clouds because my friend is telling this is better.
mm,
It's important that you, once you select a cloud, toss a coin whichever way. Ask your
mm,
friends, whichever way you'd want to do it, do it.
mm,
Once you select a cloud, stick to it,
yeah,
work with it, understand it completely, right? So work with, like, if you are a developer, or like if you want to deploy applications, try around with all the services which are present in there, container as service offerings, like play around with the platform as service offerings,
mm,
play around with the function as service offerings. So play around with all the things, get an experience with all the services. Once you have I mean, obviously you'd also need to focus on security, networking, like databases. So understand the entire picture of the cloud, and then only then move on to another cloud. Only when
yeah.
you think you are an expert on one cloud, I would
Mm.
recommend you to move on to the other clouds.
Yeah. And also just to add that, for example, if you flipped a coin and probably got Azure as the cloud that you are learning, and if you get a project in AWS, it is good to have an exposure towards Azure because it will
Absolutely.
help in learning AWS quite fast. Maybe the terminologies are different, but like
Exactly.
for example, in one cloud it will be virtual machines, in AWS it will be EC2. So yeah,
Exactly.
but the thing that they do is mostly similar, that we can spin up a EC2 instance, we can spin up a virtual machine with particular core. So the concept will remain around, I mean the same, but of course it will help. You will not be starting from a zero, you will have a lot of
Exactly.
knowledge. Yeah. uh,
Absolutely.
so guys, you can choose any cloud with if there is a tie-up with Microsoft, with your company, that you can get a free certification, or
Yeah.
probably they have some kind of offering to give. So you can choose Azure,
Yeah.
which in my case was the same. My company was having a tie-up with Microsoft, so I got a free certification. That free certification
Perfect.
motivated me to learn this thing, and I learned it, and then probably I tried building it over. I learned more and more, and that's how I started. But you can check around, uh, if there is certain possibilities like that, and you can start with that. So So the simple answer will be pick one, but commit to that one. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, commit.
so
I mean, changing is easy. Once
yeah,
you are good at something, changing to
yeah,
another cloud is easy. It's
yes,
not difficult.
yeah. So the concept will remain the same. So that's the
Exactly.
bottom line. So uh, and if I decide to learn that, okay, this is the cloud that I want to learn, say for example Azure, uh, how to start learning? I mean, what
Yeah,
will be my first step, Ranga, if you
exactly.
can? Yeah,
If you have the good luck of actually being in a project, I think the
mm,
answer is pretty
best.
clear, right? So try
Yes,
and make use of whatever is available. Nothing beats real time online doing project kind of learning.
yes.
But if you are not, I think it's very, very important to start your certification journey in that
Mm,
specific cloud, right? So if you look at like I, I'm somebody who hates certifications. I really hated certifications before the emergence of cloud.
yeah,
um, like I'm a believer that a Java certification or a Python certification or a Spring certification does not really add any value to how good I am at my job. If I
mm,
do a Java certification, it's no indicator that I would do better at the job. But
mhm,
I found in my experience that with the cloud, it's a little different.
yeah,
With the cloud, the problem is there is such variety of services which is present. Like
mm,
even people who have been working on the cloud for a year might still be restricted to just 5 or 10 of the services. And cloud would offer a lot more services, right? If you look at the cloud, there are compute services, storage, database. Like
mm,
running machine learning on the cloud today is very, very easy. Doing data
mm,
engineering on the cloud today is very, very easy. So there are a wide range of services which the cloud providers offer. And the best way to get the overview, I think, is to get started with your certification journey. If we talk specifically to Azure, I think Azure provides a really, really wonderful and very simple path to get
mm,
certified, right?
mm,
So I love the Azure Fundamentals certifications.
mm,
For example, the Azure Fundamentals AZ 900, Data Fundamentals DP 900, and the AI
yeah,
Fundamentals AI 900. Those are really perfect certifications for anyone to get started. So if
mm,
anybody starting with the cloud today, I would anybody starting with Azure today, I would it's a no-brainer that they should start with this fundamental certification unless they
yeah,
have a lot of experience with cloud. If they have a lot of experience with cloud, then probably they would go to a role-specific certification. But if they don't have any experience, I would say start with AZ 900,
mm,
understand DP 900, and then try AI 900. These three certifications would give you a wide range of coverage on like most of the services which are offered by Azure, and then you would dig deeper, and then
yeah,
you would go to the role specific
mm,
certifications that are offered, right? So
mm,
if I actually show a screen over here and look at all the role specific certifications which are present, right? So
yeah,
if you just do a search for Azure certifications, this is where you'd land up. What I've done is actually picked up certifications only. So by
mm,
default, actually there would be certifications and exams listed. So I
mm,
just chose certifications in here, and it would show only the certifications which are present in here. And if you choose beginner level in here, right? If you
mm,
choose beginner level in here, you would see the three important fundamental certifications: Azure fundamentals, AI fundamentals, and the data fundamentals. These are the three things which anybody can get started with
mm,
if they are a beginner with the cloud. And
mm,
after that, also there are a lot of role specific certifications that are present in here. So if I actually remove the role specific thing in here, you'd see that for each of your roles, so administrator, AI engineer, or whatever you'd want to be, you can come here and filter the certifications which are available. So first complete the fundamental certifications, and then come here and say, if let's say you are a developer, you can type in developer in here, and like this would show you exactly the certification that you can do. So do the fundamentals, and then probably typically if you are starting with Azure, probably you'd want to
mm,
go for a Azure Developer Associate certification. Uh, like after completing the fundamentals, if you are a
yeah,
developer, if you are an architect, come here, type in architect, and like you can pick up the solution
mm,
architect certifications, do the fundamentals, and then probably you'd want to get to one of the solution architect related certifications which is presented here. I feel Azure is one of the few clouds where, I mean, is a cloud which does really, really good on the documentation part of it,
mm,
right? Whether
yeah,
it's this or any other thing, they have really good documentation. So anytime
yeah,
you have a question, I think that's the best place to go. So just go there, like you just do a Google search for Azure certification, you'd be
mm,
landing up on that page. I think that's the best way to start learning. What do you think, Vinay? How
yeah.
was your journey?
Yeah, I'll just add that they have provided great documentation, even, and the documentation and the way they ask the question is somewhat similar. So they have very resemblance with the questions that they ask and the documentation that they provide. That's the first
Yeah,
part. And also for hands-on, they provide 1 month free subscription. You can use your credit card. They will just take it. Just they will not charge anything. You have
yeah,
$200 to play around. You can create, spin up a virtual machine. You can do
yeah,
a lots of hands-on exercise. And for people like me who are not good at cramming things, who don't like to learn, read a lot of documentation, so for people like me it was really helpful to start with exploring. I mean, when I said create a virtual machine, then you will understand that they, oh, okay, in the back end there is virtual
exactly.
networks that are getting created, there are stuff getting created, so you understand, okay, these are the things that get created once you create a virtual machine. Then you go ahead and learn the documentation, you read the documentation, you'll have further understanding of what exactly is there. And also I will say, once you go through these two, you can go through, there are some sample questions that are available on the net that you can go through, but don't go to the questions directly. That will be my suggestion, because
Yeah,
it will demotivate you. You will not
yeah.
understand a thing after
No,
doing. Yeah.
yeah. For me, actually, you should never worry about. I mean, certification is a way to learn. It's
Yes,
not a
it
paper
should.
which is out there, right? So the
Yes,
main goal of certification is not to achieve the certification, but to learn.
exactly. Learn.
I mean, the way I see is it's a marker, right? I
Mm.
mean, whenever I'm doing something, I would
Yeah.
want to have multiple milestones so that I know I'm
Yes.
making progress. So for me,
Yes.
certification is like a marker, like a
Mm.
place where I can say, okay, I achieved this. So that means I learned something good, and then I
True.
move on to the next one, right? So,
True.
I mean, having hands-on is really, really important. Absolutely, I think
Yes.
like you say, the Microsoft Learn documentation is very, very good.
Yeah.
I've read it extensively,
Yes.
especially for the all the fundamental certifications, and I
Mm.
found it to be really, really good. So
Yeah.
that's also a good place. And also, as part of the Microsoft Learn, even without creating an Azure account, I think there
Mm.
are a few demos which they enable there, and
Yes.
that's amazing concept as well. So
Yeah.
those are things. Uh, yeah, those are things which are really, really good. We will add a few links out to the Microsoft Learn page, the
Yes.
certification page in the description.
Mm.
So yeah, anytime you have like after watching the video, if you want to start your journey, probably you can check out and you can start the journey using this.
Yes. So we will provide for AWS, we will provide for Azure, we will provide for Google Cloud. You can create the account, you can explore. That will be the first starting point, because for people who want to see things happening, that will be a good starting point. And yeah, so um, the next question that I will have, anything, any tips from you, Ranga, because you learn new stuff, you try to learn new stuff regularly, and you keep yourself updated. So, any tips for the new learners that are trying to learn this cloud and they want to make it a habit to learn? So, yeah,
Yeah, I
any
think
tips?
it's important to have a regular learning schedule, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
learning anything, right, everything and anything, the most important thing is consistency.
Yeah.
So if you are able to consistently dedicate some time every interval, whether it's like a few hours every day, or a day every week,
Yeah.
or a week every month, like that's how you do it. Like
Mm.
learning continuously is only possible if it's consistent,
Yeah.
right? And I hate like learning in a few days, because what happens is I don't remember a lot. If I
Yeah.
try to cram a lot, it becomes difficult for me to remember that and really make use of it. I mean, the reason why we are doing certifications or things like that is to learn. And if
Yeah.
I'm not learning, if I don't remember things for a long time, and that defeats the purpose of learning for me. So I would focus on getting into a constant schedule of learning, and
Mm.
especially like with the emergence of DevOps and
Mm.
cloud, right? So these are things which are revolutionizing the IT industry, and
Mm.
irrespective of the role you are playing in the project. I mean, today, like one of the things I would say is actually even non-technical folks, right? Even people uh, like a tester, a business
Mm.
analyst, right? These guys also need to understand the language of the cloud, and
Yeah.
the best way for them to start is if they're starting with Azure, is the fundamental certifications.
Mm.
Like if you are working in a project and if you are struggling to understand the terminology which people are using, containers, container orchestration, or if you are struggling to understand okay, people talk virtual machines and things like that, or maybe app engine or app
Hmm.
service, right? So the best thing you can do is to just do a simple certification, like just start with Azure fundamentals. And I'm sure by the end of doing a fundamental certification, you would understand, you get a better understanding of
Yeah.
technology, right? I
Yes.
find it an amazing thing even for non-technical folks to do and equip themselves with some of the important concepts that are related to technology. And the great fact is that none of these certifications take time, right?
Hmm.
If you look at Azure fundamentals or
Yeah.
Azure data fundamentals or Azure AI fundamentals, I think these are things which you can, if you consistently spend time, probably if you are spending a day every week, then I think you should be able to do that within 2 to 3 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So these are not difficult certifications. Each certification is easy, and it enables you to be really, really good at your job. So yeah, I think uh, everybody out there who's anyway connected to software today should learn the cloud, and yeah, should probably start their cloud journeys.
Yes, and probably the most important part, as you suggested, was the consistency part. That okay, keep 30 minutes of your time, which you always suggest in your videos as well. Keep 30 minutes
Yeah,
of your time every day for learning. Yeah. So
in 28
in
minutes.
yeah, 2 minutes you can take break. Yeah.
Yeah, you take a break for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a funny
So
story actually. Like
yeah.
to tell the story behind in 28 minutes. I mean, I was a big fan of continuous learning from the start, and
Uh,
I was actually a big fan of actually 30 minutes of learning every day, kind of.
hmm.
And I was unable to find domain names. So in
Uh-huh.
30 minutes was not available. In 29 minutes was not available. And finally, the one which was available was in 28 minutes. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
I took away from what you were saying. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's
Anyway.
fine. That's a good story because I always used to think why it's in 28 minutes. Yeah, okay. Now I understand. So, so probably the consistency is the key here.
Yeah,
If you are
absolutely.
consistent, you will be able to crack or you learn any new stuff that is coming in the market. The market is
Yeah,
emerging with the cloud and DevOps tools and stuff. If you take machine learning, there are a hell lot of programming languages and stuff that you can learn. And
yeah,
don't look at the big picture, just start the journey with 30 minutes daily, then you will
yeah,
get used to it. Then you will get motivated. Once you crack down some things, you get motivated, and then you can further build on that particular thing. So
yeah.
yeah, so
And
that's
to
yeah.
add on to whatever you're saying right now,
mm,
Vinay, uh,
mm,
if you look at the like today, if you want to do machine learning, what
yeah,
is the best place to do machine learning? In the cloud.
yeah,
If you want to do data engineering, what is the best place to do data engineering today?
it is.
Cloud, right? So
Yeah.
cloud is the fundamental thing, and I'm sure like each of the cloud platforms, I mean, these guys have big pockets, right? AWS,
Yes.
Azure, Google Cloud, these guys are some of the biggest enterprises, $1 billion, I mean, multi, maybe
Multi
some are trillion,
trillion. Yeah.
some are touching trillion as well. So yeah, they have huge uh, like huge pockets, and they can spend as much as possible to acquire new things and make it easy for enterprises to go to the cloud. So
Yeah.
I, like, if you ask me, is like will Java be here in 2030? Will Python be here in 2030? Will I mean Docker, Kubernetes might not be here in 2030,
mm,
but I'm sure cloud will be here in 2030, right?
wow.
Like a lot of our technology, I mean, technology evolves quickly. So a lot of things that how we do things might change, but the only thing I'm confident will not change in the next decade, or actually next few decades, is that cloud would be the center of everything. Cloud would be the center of technology world.
Yeah, so that's the biggest motivation, probably to learn cloud is
Yeah,
it is going to stay, guys. So uh, better be the first mover or the starter because you
exactly.
will get a lot more opportunities because big enterprises are choosing clouds and like Ranga mentioned, all the services that they are offering is amazing. I mean, they
Yeah,
are making lives of a programmer as well as the enterprise guys very easy by
yeah,
taking the headache of maintaining the infrastructure and stuff. So really important that it's the kind of motivation as well that what Ranga said. So yeah, really important that you guys start at least. That will be the toughest thing to do, that to start and further move on with the cloud journey.
Absolutely. And
Mm,
add on to that, Vinay, I think you are making a very few, like few really, really good points, right?
yeah.
But it's very important to remember cloud is important,
Mm,
but it's very important to remember that cloud is not the only thing you need to learn, right? It's you need to be good at your role. If you're a programmer, you should be good at programming, design,
mm,
architecture, at least a
mm,
fundamental understanding of architecture. And
mm,
cloud will be a great skill to have. If you're a
yes.
tester, you should be good at testing. If you're a business analyst, you have to be good at business analysis, and only then cloud is an add-on skill. The way
Yeah.
I see it is, cloud is a mandatory add-on skill. It's not the
Mm,
primary skill anymore. Actually, not anymore. It was never the primary skill.
yeah.
Uh, so cloud is never the primary skill, but it's a great add-on uh, to like to add to your skills.
Yeah. So for example, if you are a BI developer, be it you are good at BI development, good, but
Yeah,
it will be good to have a cloud exposure as well, because there are many new
exactly,
offerings in BI that cloud is offering. When you
exactly.
guys will study about Synapse model and stuff, so these are good add-ons that we should have, and that will make our lives easy because they have really provided many services that will help in, yeah, making it ease at work. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Data
Mm,
engineering, machine
mm,
learning, BI, whatever.
yeah.
The
Mm,
easiest place to learn it is cloud. And for any
mm.
of these roles, yeah, go to the cloud.
Yes, yes, yeah, that's the idea. And also, with that, I think I'll come to there are some myths around cloud. Some of them you have already busted, but some are still remaining. Like it's a infrastructure, guys. It will be more helpful for the infrastructure because it involves networking. It involves
Yeah,
concept of networking, and the programmers don't get involved in those concepts. So
right.
there are a lot of myths because when I was doing cloud certification, people were telling why you were doing this BI ETL stuff and data warehousing stuff. Why you are going into cloud, man? So there are a lot of myths. So I just want
Yeah,
to take this opportunity to burst those myths as well, Ranga. I mean,
exactly.
yeah.
Absolutely,
So.
Vinay. I mean,
Mm,
it's for anybody and everybody out there who's involved with the technology field, cloud is important to learn. And
mm,
like in cloud, security is one of the most important things. And that's the
yeah.
reason why, irrespective of which service you are making use of,
Mm,
which role you are playing, it's very
mm,
important to understand networking and security,
yeah.
right? I mean, if you understand networking, VPCs,
Mm,
that's the way, or whatever we call them, VNets in like Azure, right? So
mm,
only when you understand them, you can make the right you can set up the right security for the service you are making use of. So,
yes.
irrespective of the role, especially if you are in any of the technical roles, it's very important to understand the concepts of networking and security related to the cloud.
Yes, and even for project managers or senior managers, that is also very important to understand the terminology of cloud at least,
Absolutely,
because everything from batch failures to everything that they want to see or hear from their software engineers, they should also have a fair bit of understanding. So, AZ 900 or Azure Fundamental certification is one of the most basic certification, but it is really important that for all the roles it has an offering. It will help in
absolutely,
understanding the business and enterprise and the code level perspective in a better way, I will suggest.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and
I think Azure
also
Fundamentals is a great way
yeah,
to start
great,
Azure
yeah,
journey for anybody, even if you are
mm,
technical, if you are not non-technical,
non-technical, yeah.
if you don't know the cloud, start with AZ 900.
And also there are some misconception like if a person is a tester, say they don't deal with the programming language more than often they test the code. So is it very difficult to learn cloud, Ranga? I mean,
No,
your
I
perspective?
mean, as we were talking, Vinay, I don't think
Mm.
it's difficult to clear Azure fundamentals, even if you are not technically well equipped. So I
Yes.
think even if you know zero technology, I
Mm.
think Azure fundamentals, Azure data fundamentals, Azure AI fundamentals are easy to learn.
Yes, and they are good to have in your bucket because, yeah, as I said, that will
Absolutely,
help to understand the business and the IT processes better for
exactly.
everybody. So,
Because like I mean, if you look at these certifications, right, they would
mm,
also talk about the basics of containers, container orchestration, security, networking. You don't need to be I mean, you don't need to be. I mean, the thing is, you don't need to be technical to understand these concepts. That's the
Yes.
number one thing, right? If you want to understand container, why containers came in, why container orchestrations services came in, what is function as service, these are not things which are difficult to understand. It's just
Mm.
that like these certifications provide you a roadmap not only to understand the services that cloud provides, but also some
Mm.
of the important concepts behind those services.
Yeah. So, and also probably last, probably the motivation that you hear about a lot in your offices and probably around that this cloud can do this service. Cloud has amazing DevOps services. So once you start learning cloud from a listener, you can be a contributor in your office or in around. So you can
Absolutely.
understand, learn much better by talking to your peers in a much more effective way. I will say.
Absolutely.
So that's really good to have. So guys, keep yourself motivated, I'll say, by learning every day. Every consistency is the key. That's what I believe. So
Okay. Cool.
uh, Sangaranga, thank you
Yeah.
so much. I believe we have covered most of the stuff, and probably it is helpful for the folks out there who are just starting to learn cloud. And we will provide all the links in the description. And also we would like to hear from you guys as a viewer, if you want any specific things to be discussed here, any specific cloud technologies that you want us to present here. So we would like to hear your suggestions, your comment as well. So
And specific to the topic, if you have any
yeah.
questions about your Azure journeys, do post them
Yes.
on, do comment them, and we'll
Yeah.
also create more content around that based on your questions. So
Yes,
I think
sure.
that's like your feedback would be really, really good so that we can create more discussions like this. The goal
Mm,
of these discussions is to take the message to everybody that cloud and DevOps are not easy to learn. If you look at cloud, it's just another somebody else's computer, so it's
mm,
not difficult to learn. DevOps is something which is like we have been deploying software to production for years and years together,
mm,
right? And it's just a process of improving how we take refining the process. So these are
mm.
nothing new. If you are a good developer tester, or if you are good at what you do, learning the cloud is not difficult. So that's the
Yeah.
message we want to take across. So if you think that message resonates with you, and also
Mm.
if you think you are an expert on any of the topics which we are discussing, do reach out to us. We would love to have a conversation with you as well. Thanks
Yes.
a lot, Vinay, for hosting
Thank
us
you.
today. Thanks for
Yeah.
taking the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's really, really good that I got a chance to with to discuss this with somebody who already has a lot of expertise with Azure. Thanks a lot, Vinay.
Thank you. Thank you, Ranga.